What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Well, yesterday we mentioned Elden Ring in Newswave, and wouldn't you know it, it exploded online after pieces of a trailer started to leak out through Twitter and on different websites. And since we hadn't heard anything about this game since its initial reveal, the hype levels went through the roof. And we're going to talk about that one here today. Also, the randomness of the eShop continues after a game from the Gameboy Advanced era just decided to show up on the Switch eShop. And we're also going to talk about Square Enix, as it looks like they are showing more interest in some of their back catalog after signing a deal with Forever Entertainment to remake a certain series for modern platforms. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton. And if you're new here to the Small Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. And we're going to start today with the Mario 35th anniversary. At the end of March, several games will be going away from Nintendo, and the biggest one is the Mario 3D All-Stars collection. So I figured I would remind you guys here and point out a tweet from Nintendo, who was also reminding everyone, where they say the Super Mario Bros. 35th anniversary campaign will end at the end of March 2021. With the end of the campaign, the production sales and services of some products will also end. For more details, please visit here. All right, so Mario 3D All-Stars is the obvious one. They will no longer be producing it physically, and it will be pulled from the eShop, which is the weirdest thing to me. I understand having a limited run of a physical copy because you are technically manufacturing an item physically and then shipping it to stores. Logistics and all of that is a whole thing. But the idea of removing it digitally is still weird, except Nintendo and the way they act with their IPs. They don't want to undervalue them. They think that by taking all these Mario games, putting it into one package, that does devalue those Mario games. Maybe Mario 64 shows up again sometime down the line when N64 games are added to the Switch, or the next Switch, years from now when they decide to actually add Nintendo 64 games. But Mario 35 also going away. So I'll give you guys another reminder midway through March and then towards the end as we get closer to that eventual discontinuation date. Also, do you remember Dead Island 2? This game was revealed to us, I feel like it was 2014 or 2015, but it was initially revealed for the PS4 and the Xbox One and PC. And I think it's becoming obvious to a lot of people that this game is not going to be coming out anytime soon, and now some job listings are popping up, and we head over here to Twitter. This from Maru saying, experience with DXR and compute are a must, as you will be heavily involved in raising our visual bar on high-end platforms using the latest rendering technologies. Dead Island 2 is being built using Unreal Engine 4. Dam Buster took over development in August 2019. This game's been passed around quite a bit, but based on some of the different job listings they have on their career pages, it does appear that Dead Island 2 is being moved and focused on next generation platforms, that being PS5 and Xbox Series X and S. And it makes sense. I mean, if this game doesn't come out till 2023, are you still going to make a PS4 and Xbox One version of this? Probably not. And the fact that this game has been struggling this much just to get out there, they need to focus on as few systems as possible just to make sure this thing can get to the finish line. So here's hoping a 2023 release for Dead Island 2, but most likely just on the PS5, the Xbox Series, and the PC. Oh, and we had talked about Battlefield 6 before when EA was talking with investors about trying to have a reveal ready for this game this spring, which most likely means they would then push towards a holiday release. They will be moving Criterion off of their current Need for Speed project to run support for Battlefield 6 with DICE. We can see this quote here, this from Laura Meal, saying, Battlefield is shaping up great. The team has been working incredibly hard. They pushed hard last year, and yes, we have been working from home. And it's hard. It's hard to make games from home, and the EA DICE team is fatigued a bit. And this makes sense based on what we've heard with remote work, and you have a massive team and everyone's together on Zoom calls, and it's probably a lot easier if you can get together in the same building, same conference room for different meetings, whereas this is much more scattered and sporadic. So Criterion coming over to run support makes sense on their end. For me, it's a shame because I think Need for Speed Heat was pretty good overall, and I was hoping to see that what the follow-up would be sooner rather than later in the Need for Speed series. I think they're on to something if they continue that formula. But they did acquire Codemasters, and I'm sure they would be able to produce a racing game coming up here soon-ish or within the next 12 months, and then Need for Speed can fall into 2022 as they've outlined here. But here's hoping that at least the next Battlefield is something like Bad Company 3. Not that that's hinting towards something. I just want Battlefield Bad Company 3 this holiday. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with this random Game Boy Advance game that just appeared on the Switch eShop. There was no build-up, no mention, no preview, nothing about this. But here we are now, where yesterday people started to notice that a Game Boy Advance game you may recognize called Robotech the Macross Saga HD Edition appeared on the Australian eShop. You can see several of the screenshots here. It's currently listed there at $12.99, and the pricing may differ depending on region and all of that, but we can say they say blast off in the next great space adventure to defend Macross City against the invading Zentradi. The remastered classic Robotech mech shooter invades the Nintendo Switch. And they go through several of the features: single player, local, 2-player co-op mech shooter action, 10 missions, 3 dynamic fighting styles, 5 playable characters, and they have reimagined HD graphics that you can see here in the screenshots, and a new soundtrack. This is done by GPC Games. They haven't really done anything super memorable or that you would even recognize necessarily. It does look like, though, they've done an interesting job with the visual style, because it was on the Game Boy Advance, and you take a Game Boy Advance game and you blow it up to like your 50-inch TV, it's not gonna go over too well, so they at least fixed up the visuals here. I don't really know if anyone was asking for the Robotech Game Boy Advance game necessarily. I would have preferred more so the GameCube version. That was actually a pretty cool Robotech. Neither of them are great necessarily. The one on the Game Boy Advance didn't get good scores at all. It's just odd that they went back. Maybe this was just cheaper to do, I guess. If you look at the GameCube version, it's 3D, of course. There's much more movement involved. The visual style would take some adaptation to current standards. So that's all I can assume. They saw one like this with the Robotech name, and they figured, yeah, let's take a shot. Let's see what happens here. But it should be out now. It would look to be a staggered release yesterday as we went throughout the day, appearing first in Australia, then in parts of Europe, and by now it should be everywhere. So if for whatever reason you wanted to play Robotech just randomly the other day, there you go, it's up on the Switch now. Next up, let's talk about Elden Ring. Now, I have an interesting connection to Elden Ring, because initially I had a video go up that said Fromsoft was working with George R.R. Martin on a large open world style game for Fromsoft. And this is a while ago. It was, even I was like hearing this, I'm like, that is hard to believe, I will admit. And a lot of people didn't necessarily believe that, but then, there is the reveal for Elden Ring, and George R.R. Martin is indeed working with Fromsoft. But there's a problem. Since we had that reveal, nothing's really been shown, and it does appear, according to VGC, that does have to do with remote work having several internal delays happen because of that. Again, we just mentioned Criterion having to run support for Battlefield 6 at EA, so you then hear about that and them trying to scale up to a larger style FromSoft game, and it does kind of all stack up and make sense. In fact, some of the sourcing says this game might not come out this year. Elden Ring may be a 2022 game. Now, it could be earlier in 2022, not like holiday 2022, but I wouldn't necessarily expect this game coming out this year, but that doesn't mean you won't see this game this year, as several people are already seeing a trailer that was captured off screen. We can head over to VGC here, where they say a leaked Elden Ring trailer is being actively circulated in online chat groups. VGC can confirm. The video, which has been seen by VGC but cannot be shared for legal reasons, is labeled as Bandai Namco Confidential and shows a significant amount of off-screen footage from what appears to be a planned gameplay trailer for the From Software title. The gameplay footage then shows a montage of familiar Soul-style melee combat, boss battles against a fire-breathing dragon, and a large sword-wielding foe, and a glimpse at horseback combat in a large open environment. Now, I'm not going to show you any of the footage that was leaked. However, VGC did embed several tweets that just uploaded the footage. Mostly it is like off-screen footage from a cell phone. I guess somebody saw it on a PC or was leaked to them on their PC, maybe from marketing, because that's kind of what this trailer looks like. This is like a trailer they were going to then upload to YouTube along with press releases going out for additional write-ups to go alongside of it, where they were going to showcase some of the features and the combat, because they show the horseback riding, some fighting and all of this, just to kind of give you an idea of what they are aiming for with this game. But yes, that, I guess, is our next look at Elden Ring. And here's the thing with this: if you see a trailer like this getting leaked out, and this does tend to happen from time to time, that tells me that they do have plans to actually show this game in an official capacity soonish. I'd like to think that it's in the next week or two. This will just go up on YouTube. but we'll see, because hearing about these internal delays makes me concerned that they're not that confident as to when this game is going to come out, which means they're going to show us stuff on this and they won't be able to say, oh, it's coming out 2021 or even 2022. They're going to just probably show this and then just say, follow us here on Twitter or on our website for more information as we continue to do updates. But yeah, look out, I would say, soonish in the near future for some more updates in an official capacity for Elden Ring. Otherwise, though, if you want to see, the trailer from a potato cam, there is a link in the sources to VGC's article. Next up, let's talk about Square Enix and their massive back catalog of IPs. A lot of us ask, hey, when are you guys going to bring Chrono Trigger to the Switch? Or when are you going to get this game or that game? They have so many games in their back catalog that we would like to see on current platforms. And it looks like Square is at least mindful of this, as they have now struck a new deal with Forever Entertainment. We head over to Gematsu here, where they say Forever Entertainment has entered into an agreement to develop and release multiple game remakes based on the intellectual property owned by Square Enix Japan, the company announced. The name of this property will be announced separately at the launch of a worldwide marketing campaign. The remakes will feature new visuals while maintaining the same gameplay and scenario from the original versions. Release dates will be announced separately. Forever Entertainment will receive only over 50% of sales for each copy of the game sold across all platforms. Now, Forever Entertainment was in the news recently for doing the Panzer Dragoon remake that is on current platforms. They're also doing the sequel there, and they're doing House of the Dead 1 and 2. So they've been on a bit of a roll, although that Panzer Dragoon remake did need some patching and some updates to get it up to certain standards, but they at least came through with that one. So what would they be working on with Square? Because this appears to be set to just one series, and it's going to be multiple games from that series. So right off the bat, we have to imagine it is a series that has multiple entries, right? So sequels, or maybe they're going back and they're getting Final Fantasy 1 through 6. That seems to be the leading theory right now. Or maybe they're finally bringing Final Fantasy 13-2, and Lightning Returns up. Most likely, I think the idea of them doing Final Fantasy would be cool. I don't know if... Do they need to touch Chrono Trigger? I mean, it'd be cool to bring Chrono Trigger up, but I feel like we could just have that ported over to the Switch, for example, and it would sell a ton. Like, it's already a really good game, and do you want Forever Entertainment to take a risk and possibly change up the visuals and damage that port? I don't know. I mean, Final Fantasy 1 through 6 has already been put through the ringer for things like on cell phones where they destroyed the look of that game. So I would be okay with them doing that, but people have also mentioned, what about like Parasite Eve 1 and 2? That would be really cool as well. I mean, there is a ton of games that you could point to in Square's own back catalog, and I encourage you to do so down in the comments. What would you want Forever Entertainment to go back and remake, trying to keep it as true to form as possible and bring up to modern platforms? And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a bit of a scare that happened yesterday for everyone that's still hopeful about getting a PlayStation 5 someday, because it's very difficult to get them now with scalpers and resellers buying them up at every opportunity when they appear online. But what if the PlayStation 5 could legitimately mine cryptocurrency? You would never see a PlayStation 5 ever again, especially if it could do it efficiently or well enough to where it makes sense to buy them. Well, an image started to circulate yesterday that terrified people who are looking for a PS5. You can see it here, and what it appears to show is a PlayStation 5 mining Ethereum, and the hash rate is actually pretty good at about 98 to 211 watt power consumption. Yes, this was really worrying for a lot of people when they saw this pop up, because if this was true, you would see a lot of people who mine cryptocurrency just buy PlayStation 5s and set them up to do this. But it appears that that photo is actually fake. Surprise, right? Go figure. Well, if we go over here to videocards.com, they say this photo allegedly showing PS5 Ethereum mining is fake. There is a QR code, which you see kind of at like the bottom left there. When you scan it and then translate it, it says there is no such software, and then just laughter at that point. Yes, this appears to be just like a fake that was mocked up, photoshopped and all of that, and then put on what appeared to be coming from a Chinese forum where they were talking about mining cryptocurrency. And I guess someone thought it'd be funny to set up the PS5 and say, hey, look, it's mining Ethereum, and it's doing it actually pretty well overall with the amount of hash rate versus watts and all of this. So yeah, if that were true, it would have been rough. Sony would have had to have figured something out very, very quickly, as we see what Nvidia is currently dealing with, where they make video cards that were just good at mining cryptocurrency to where they tried to separate them and have legit mining cards. I don't think Sony is going to make mining PlayStation systems. So fortunately, this was fake. And I don't know if a PS5 will ever be able to mine cryptocurrency or that well. That's the biggest thing there, because we're talking some pretty decent figures for a system that shouldn't be that good at mining cryptocurrency. Either way though, you don't have to worry about it. The image was fake and we can kind of move on. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I simply asked, have you tried Google Stadia since it released? And well, 89% of you said no, I wasn't interested at all. Hey, 11% of you said yes, you at least tried it once. And I think most of this has to do with Google and their terrible job at marketing the service, because the technology actually works pretty well. A lot of people still don't know that there is a free version of Stadia, that you don't have to pay a monthly fee to use Stadia. I believe it's like a 1080p option that you can use on like your PC or any of that. And if you want 4K, you then pay the subscription fee and you will get games added in every month, like say PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live games with gold. It's just Google really didn't know how to present this well enough to capture an audience immediately. That, and it launched in what felt like a very early beta stage for the service. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Gozar saying, you think that they could have Googled how much the port should have cost? I telling a joke there, but Phil Harrison was in charge of launching this thing. Phil Harrison's been through the gaming industry for a while now. I mean, he helped to launch the PlayStation 3, and well, that wasn't a great launch. And then he helped to launch the Xbox One, and well, that wasn't a good launch either. And then Google decided to hire him for some reason. You know what? It actually makes sense why they paid so much for those ports now. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. There's the Elden Ring leak. Did you get a chance to see the footage online? If so, let me know what you thought about it down below. Also, what about Macross, or Robotech Macross, the Gameboy Advanced game, just randomly appearing on the Switch eShop? Did it bring back any memories of the game or even the show? And then what about Square and Forever Entertainment? What series would you like to see Forever work on and remake for modern platforms? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.